What's up, folks? Welcome to the Parabellum Podcast. I'm Sean, your host and owner of Parabellum Strength and Fitness. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about the mandate from Secretary of Defense Hegseth to review physical standards and combat MOSs, military occupation specialty, combat arms, which would include the infantry, artillery, armored, armored tankers, armored scouts, things like that. Jobs where you are definitely going to see a fight. And I will try to tie that into the civilian world uh, as best I can. How am I qualified to speak about this? Well, if you follow me, you know that I spent 20 years in the United States Army as an infantryman. I served in the 82nd Airborne Division. I did 3 combat deployments with them, one to Iraq, two to Afghanistan. Then I served in 1st Armored Division for my 4th deployment. And then my 5th deployment, I was a platoon sergeant with the 101st Airborne Division, Rakkasans. In between those things, I was a drill sergeant. When I finished my line time as a platoon sergeant, I was a instructor at University of North Carolina, Charlotte for the ROTC program, where I was responsible for building the PT program for that unit. And my PT program was used by several universities, and had COVID not occurred, it was going to become the standard for the brigade. Things happen. And then I finished my career as an observer, coach, trainer at Fort Polk. So, bottom line, I've got a lot of experience. And I was a rifleman all the way up to platoon sergeant in the infantry in 2 very physically demanding units. The 82nd, super physically demanding, 101st, super physically demanding. So I understand what the requirements are for a combat soldier. Some soldiers are combat, some soldiers aren't. Your cook is not necessarily combat. I have, here's my other qualifications on the civilian side. I don't know, I've got 4 NASM certifications, and I'm also U.S. Army Master Fitness Trainer qualified. And I'll speak about that here in a moment because it was one of the best courses I did in the Army, one of the most educational, one of the most enjoyable. And yes, that is probably because I'm a meathead. Um, but I'm also going to let you know that I'm not coming from a position of perfection. When I joined the Army, my attitude was I don't need to run. I just need to lift heavy weights, mainly bench press. Hated leg day because in high school, I was not taught how to lift. I was just told go lift. And I know kids nowadays, man, there's a strength coach on every corner. The information is available. That doesn't mean good strength coaches, but there are plenty of high schools now, even outside the state of Texas or Florida or California, that employ a full time strength and conditioning coach, and their job is to teach kids how to do these things. And I think that for the athletes coming out, the advantage now is they're much better educated than my generation was. My generation was still in that, go lift heavy weight, go do some sprints and call it a day. There was no nutrition coaching to it. There was no, this is how you lift, this is how you sprint. There was just an expectation. There was an outcome expectation. There was no process to it. Kids now, they have that advantage. So I'm going to talk about where SECDEF Hegseth's mandate of reviewing this and coming up with a sex/gender neutral standard. And a lot of people think that that is just geared towards pushing women out of the military or out of these MOSs. And having come from the global war on terrorism era, I think that I'm the last guy that's going to say push them out. I'm married to a Purple Heart recipient. My wife is an absolute stud. I mean, I, I don't think she'll mind me sharing this. She was wounded so badly that she had to have her left arm reattached. She carries a massive scar from where her arm was dangling by a few tendons and had to have that reattached. Praise God that it was able to be reattached. Um, she blew out both of her ACLs in service and didn't get that fixed. And that woman still moves like a cat. It's funny because her name is Cat. It's weird like that. But anyway, I digress. So I have a great amount of respect for our females that not only can do the job, but are willing to do the job and willing to put forth the effort. Having said all that, yes, the standard should be based off of what a male can do. Because throughout history, war has been a man's game. It's been a man's world. The problem that I have, having seen my last duty station, I got to see the cream of the crop come through, and we're hurting. We are hurting physically. And it's not just been within the last 5 years and the Biden administration that we started hurting physically. It happened a long time before that. Number one, the standards changed. The PT test changed. The Army Combat Fitness Test came about, which I don't disagree with that test on the whole. I think it is a good measurement of strength. I think it's a good measurement of power, of conditioning, and cardiorespiratory fitness. I think some things could change, and I'll talk about what I would change. But on the whole, it's much better than the 3 event, 2 minutes of push ups, 2 minutes of sit ups, 2 mile run. You go into any gym now, you will find some civilian who can blow both of those tests out of the water. And you'll find more than one. It won't be hard. So why are we struggling to meet it in the military? And I'm going to bring up that point. I'm going to try to keep this right at 30 minutes. So let's dive in. Number one, there should not be a difference in standards. I'm going to pull up the standards for you. Well, first, I'm going to pull up SECDEF's order on what he wants the military to look at. And it is pretty generalized. You can find this on Military Times. You can just Google it. And for civilians, I would say that if you're a father, a mother that has a child that is, or a teenager that is considering the military, absolutely encourage them to go look at this. Absolutely encourage them to seek the education on how to get physically fit, how to perform the movements, and or, yeah, here's a shameless business plug. Reach out to Parabellum Strength and Fitness and hire me because I have the experience. I have the educational, the schoolhouse education to train them as to how they need to not just pass the test, but crush it. So as we move on here, SECDEF, he is delineating between combat arms and non-combat arms. He wants the military to clearly define combat arms occupations and non-combat. I've already named the combat arms. I've already said, I don't need a cook to perform the same physical standard as I do an 11 Bravo, an infantryman. I don't care if it's a male or a female cook. I don't care if it's a male or a female infantryman. I need everybody. I need that male and female infantryman to be an absolute stud. At the end of the day, I need them to be in shape for the worst case scenario. I'll give you the worst case scenario. You're in a firefight. The biggest guy in the platoon, 6'2", 240, takes a round through the leg, can't walk. What are you going to do? Tell him to crawl? Now, the Army plans, or the way we run our CASEVAC on the ground, casualty evacuation on the ground, is if we lose one dude to a wound, at minimum, we're losing 3 people out of the fight. That's 3 guns that we've lost out of the fight, because it's going to take 2 additional soldiers to pick up that wounded soldier and move them to safety. The way I trained, and you can roll your eyes and go, here we go. Here's the guy that this is the way I did it in my day, and it was perfect. I am more than happy to give a dude a call right now, and he will say, no, he really did train us that way. He tried to kill us during PT. And that was my thought process as a platoon sergeant. I'm going to try and kill him, because if I can't kill him, then we're in good standing. They'll be able to move dudes on their own. I trained my guys to be strong enough to move a wounded comrade at least 50 meters to safety. One other dude. One dude. Because I didn't want to lose more than 2 guns out of the fight. Those are important. You want as many guns firing as possible. That's what Hexeth is talking about. Why? And you can run your mouth about him not being qualified. He's not out of touch. He was a major. Did 2 combat tours. Major's just at that rank where your next rank, you're going to start to lose touch with the boys, with the troops, because you're stuck in an office more than you are out running operations with the guys. So to me, does he understand all the budget and diplomacy that a general does? No, probably not. But he understands enough of it, because majors, they basically do whatever the lieutenant colonel doesn't want to do. And I can tell you that the lieutenant colonel probably doesn't want to deal with the budget of the battalion. So all we really have to do is multiply the budget that Hexeth's dealing with. I think he's intelligent enough to deal with that pretty well. I mean, the guy has 2 degrees from Ivy League schools. He had to demonstrate some kind of intelligence to earn those degrees. At any rate, he's not out of touch. Generals usually do get out of touch. He's talking about ground combat operations and the physical standard for those. Should emphasize the ability to carry heavy loads. Another human being, that qualifies as a heavy load. Endure prolonged physical exertion. That means you're going to have about a 60 to 100-pound ruck on your back, and you're going to have to move with it for more than 5 minutes. Somewhere, I mean, the standard is 35 pounds, 12 miles, 3 hours. I can tell you that in combat, your ruck is always more than 35 pounds. You're going to have more than 3 hours, because you want to plan for it, because moving 12 miles in 3 hours, everybody's pretty well wiped out at the end of that 12 miles. So you always plan for a little more, but doesn't matter. You're still going to be wiped out, and you need to be able to fight when you get there. So that means you need to have the physical endurance and conditioning in order to meet that 12-mile and 3-hour standard. But when you get to the end of that 12 miles, you can't just do the rucksack flop, sit down, take a nap. No, you've got to get ready you've got to be ready to fight. Walk into the worst possible scenario, which is being outnumbered and stuck in a prolonged firefight. and perform effectively in austere, hostile environments. Austere, hostile environments. Afghanistan is austere and hostile. It's 130 degrees in the summer. It's below freezing in the winter. They've got tons of snow. It just sucks. You ain't getting the best food. An MRE does not really, it's not nutritious. Let me put it that way. It's not really fueling your body to perform optimally. It's just basically keeping you alive. Service members in these roles must exhibit speed, strength, agility, and endurance to navigate the demands of combat situations. A lot of people will scream about how badly the ACFT sucks, and it's not a measurement of that. It actually is a measurement of everything listed right there. Then he goes on to special operations forces, says, hey, they got to do all this. They just got to do it better. I like that. I love that he included specialized occupations such as EOD Navy divers. Those folks got to be in shape. That EOD bomb suit, that thing sucks. It's heavy. It's hot. You're already stressed out because you're getting ready to go play with a bomb. And that EOD bomb suit, yeah, it's going to offer some protection. But if it's a big enough bomb, doesn't matter. You're still getting wiped out. So not only are you wearing this massive heavy suit, you're burning up inside of it, but you have the additional stress of playing with a bomb. That's not a natural human thing to do. Navy divers, you're diving to depths where the pressure is just ridiculous. So you have that stress, but also you have to be in great physical condition to withstand that stress. You take the normal human being just off the street, stick them in those suits, tell them to go perform that. My money's on you may find 1 in 1,000 that can do it with absolutely zero training for wearing those suits. I'm not saying training to perform the duties. I'm just saying the suits. Then we're gonna come down here. Sorry. Sometimes I'm not that great with a mouse. Sex neutral standards. All entry level and sustained physical fitness requirements within combat arms positions must be sex neutral, based solely on the operational demands of the occupation and readiness needed to confront any adversary. In establishing those standards, secretaries of the military departments may not establish standards that would result in any existing service member being held to a lower standard. What he's already heading off at the pass is you don't get to lower the standard just to do a PR thing. He's saying it. He is saying, I already know you lowered the standards to let females in. We're done with that. He's not excluding females. He's not attacking females. He's just saying you're going to be held to the same standard, which at the end of the day is equality. It's equality. The effort is seen as a broadside against women serving on the front lines, which they've been doing successfully for years. I'm not saying they haven't. I've seen it. They do serve successfully. I'm not even saying that the males are that much better. I'm advocating that the standard get higher. I'm advocating that we require more out of the soldier, but I'm also going to advocate that we incentivize it, we educate it, and that we get away from being risk adverse. So let's talk about the first point, incentivizing it. Most of the time, if you can score a max on the PT test, it's a slap on the back, a an AAM, an Army Achievement Medal, in which those things get handed out like water. Big deal. Well, that's promotion points. Cool. Great. Why don't we give a cash bonus? Let's get away from we'll give you a 4-day, which happens 3 months later because details come up and we need everybody there. Why don't we incentivize it? Hey, score a 600 on the ACFT. That's a max score. Here's $200 cash bonus. You get $200 to a soldier, man, they will do backflips because they care about their money. That's why when you are punished as a soldier, they take a half a month's pay away from you or a full month's pay because they know that's what really you care about is your money and your time. But tell them instead of, hey, we're only throwing out there, we'll take money from you, throw out there, hey, we're going to give money to you. Can't figure out how to put that into the budget? Shoot. Give them a $200 gift card to the PX. You control the PX. You've got deals with everybody every vendor who puts stuff in the PX. Just pull the Monster truck. Let them get Monster energy drinks off the truck. Folks go wild over that. Incentivize it. Give real incentivation. I don't even know if that's a word. We're going to roll with it. Give some real incentive to being in great physical condition and watch folks take it more seriously. You're staring at, I've pulled up the standards. I'm going to get to those there in a second. Next, educate it. When I was platoon sergeant, I got sent to Army Master Fitness Trainer. Before I left, everybody said, dude, you're going to hate the class because all they're going to do is go over the old stuff, push-ups, sit-ups, run. Wrong. These instructors that came from the Master Fitness Trainer schoolhouse at Fort Jackson and came to Fort Campbell, they were all CrossFit Level 3 certified, NASM personal training certified. They were working towards their degrees in kinesiology. They were super well educated. They had a knowledge on how to perform certain, every lift that they showed us. And for 3 weeks, we were in a performance gym or on a football field conducting basically NFL combine drills on the football field. Then inside the performance gym, it wasn't just CrossFit. They were teaching us how to do lifts and get stronger. Now, I already had a decent knowledge base when it came to it, but I came out of there much, much better. And then the final for it was, hey, now you've got to build a PT program for your company to a certain goal that's combat related. So it wasn't just, well, I want everybody in my company to bench 225. No, that wasn't good enough. I think mine was, I need everybody in my company capable of putting on body armor, rifle, helmet, boots, full duty uniform, full combat gear, full combat load. And I need them to have the ability to pull a SCEDCO with a 225-pound casualty, 100 meters, which is the length of a football field, And I need them to be able to do that in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. One guy. One guy wearing, we'll just throw it out there if it's a rifleman, an additional 40 pounds of gear, running with a 225-pound human being put into basically a sled. That's what a SCEDCO is, and run 100 meters with that in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, that's quite a bit of time because most people can run 100 meters, you know, in around 20 seconds. That's for your extremely deconditioned individual. Your world class guys, of course, are going to do that in around 9 seconds. But you can't expect world class out of people who haven't been trained to be world class and people who aren't genetically inclined to be world class. You've got to train for the masses. And I had to write that. I got an A on it. That was the requirement. When I got back from that class, back to my unit, it was a fight for me to implement the PT plan that I just built, just had signed off on by the quote unquote experts, which I do believe they were experts in the field. Now, with my additional knowledge, they were experts in their field. I had to fight with my command to implement that because it called for going to the gym. And in the Army, going to the gym during PT hours is almost sacrilege because you have the old graybeards, and by that I mean company commanders, battalion commanders, brigade commanders, all the way up to division commanders screaming they can't go to the gym because they're just going to screw around. I'll see them in there sitting on their phones instead of doing work. So no, they can't go to the gym. But if by chance you were able to get into the gym, guess who you saw there? All those guys. They were there. But no, the average soldier, no. The average soldier was out there on the road running, doing push-ups and flutter kicks and body weight lunges and body weight squats in a parking lot 4 days a week. And then on the 5th day, they had a ruck on their back. Now, everybody who's been in before me, with me, whatever, who sees this is going to go, well, it worked forever. Yeah, it worked forever until the standards changed. When the standards changed, the training should have changed. The process should have changed. And in some units, it has. I'm not going to say that it hasn't on the whole, but there are few and far between, unless it has taken a drastic turn since I retired 13 months ago. But if you spent any time in the military, you know the military doesn't change that quickly. It takes a while for things to trickle down, a long while. So educate it, because I'm still very much tied to the military, and I see the social media post of folks doing a deadlift and it kills my back. And I'm not even deadlifting at the moment. It kills me because they don't know how to do it. It's just go do it. And I'm immediately transported back to high school and go, there is no process to this. They're not teaching them how to do it. And then we're going to wonder why that soldier is claiming 100% disability or trying to claim 100% disability. Oh, yeah. We just told them to go do it. We didn't teach them how. If you educate someone, the Army is based off training. Training is teaching. And we're not doing it. But we're expecting an outcome, but there's no process to it. Or should I say the process is exceptionally faulty. Every staff sergeant, squad leader, should be Army Master Fitness Trainer qualified. That should be part of their non-commissioned officer education system. Because when you're a non-commissioned officer, you have to go to certain schools in order to maintain that next rank. Because it's meant to teach you leadership standards at that next rank that you've achieved. You either go to the school before you get pinned that rank or right after. Why not make physical fitness part of that squad leader's education? Require them to learn it, require them to regurgitate it, test them on it, have them demonstrate the ability to do it themselves. Why not? Oh, because it would take longer. Okay, add 3 weeks to the course. He's already there. She's already there. Just add 3 weeks. Require them to get better. Let's talk about the standards. 17 to 21. What is considered the physical prime of a soldier because they're young? The male at 100%. I'm going to do the 100% scale because nothing else really matters. At that age group, a male is expected, in order to max out the 3-rep max trap bar deadlift, is expected to deadlift 340 pounds 3 times. The female, 210 pounds. Where's the equality? Where is it? There's a 130-pound difference. By the standard, in print, someone at the highest levels has said they're not equal. The expectation is not equal. Why? There's females out there that can do 340 3 times. You train them, teach them. There's plenty of them who can do it. And 340 is honestly not that much. I watch super untrained males do 340. Ugly lifts. Hey, it ain't got to be pretty. But there's if we're going to scream equality, make it equal. And I know there's going to be females that disagree with me. But at the end of the day, there should be equality in the standard. Males, if you're struggling with 340, you got problems. Standing power throw. It's a medicine ball, 10 pounds. Throw it over your head. It's a little bit more technical than that, but the point is there's a 4-meter difference in the standard. To me, you're insulting females. You're telling them that they aren't as capable and that they're not expected to be as capable. That's an insult, if you ask me. If someone looked at me and said, hey, man, we know you can't do this. We don't expect you to. Then why do you want me on the team? Am I the cannon fodder? Why would you want me here if you don't expect me to meet the same standard? I don't want to be a part of the team if you don't expect me to meet the same standard. That says to me the team sucks. The hand release push-up, body weight. Body weight. There's a 4-rep discrepancy or 4-rep difference. Why? It's your own body weight. The expectation should be the same. You should have mastered your body weight. And there's no dead weight to that. You should have you should be able to master and control your own body weight. I don't know how they come up with that number, by the way. I don't know how they come up with any of these numbers. That's like that secret is kept in the bowels of Fort Knox. Sprint drag carry. I love this event. I'm not going to pull up video because I said I wanted to keep this short, sweet, and to the point. The sprint drag carry is several movements in one. Okay. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger for you. Sorry. You open up with a pop-up sprint. In other words, you start prone on the ground, chest in the ground, shoelaces in the ground. You perform a push-up and fall into the sprint and sprint down 25 yards, 25 meters, make a turn, sprint back, grab a 95-pound sled, which here again, I never saw a soldier with body armor, helmet, boots, all that on who weighed just 95 pounds. The last time I did it, when I grabbed the 95-pound drag sled, the sled came up off the ground when I grabbed it and started moving. I can't do that with a casualty. I can't do that. I mean, the lightest casualty that we would incur would be around 185 pounds. When I pick up the handles for a Skedco, I'm not moving so fast that 185 pounds flies up off the ground. I'm not Brian Shaw. So you drag the sled 25 meters down, 25 meters back. Once you get back, you're going to turn laterally and do a lateral shuffle 25 meters down and back. And that one just blows my mind. I don't remember a time in my 5 deployments, and I don't know how many gunfights I was in, that I had to do a lateral shuffle 25 meters. But I guess that's where they're coming up with the agility part of it. I would just remove that because it's silly. I'll just call it that. It's silly. And then come back from that lateral shuffle, grab 2 40-pound kettlebells or dumbbells, and conduct a farmer's carry 25 meters down, 25 meters back, set the kettlebells down, and then execute one last sprint, 25 down and 25 back. If you're 17 to 21-year-old male, you're expected to do that in 1 minute and 29 seconds in order to max the test, which, by the way, is very, very doable. I did it at age 41. Yeah, I think I was 41. But there is an over 30-second difference for the males and the females. I know females who can do this in 1 minute 29. I saw a lot of them do it when I was an ROTC instructor. Saw a lot of them. And those weren't even the females that were D1 collegiate athletes. They were just females who took it upon themselves to say, oh no, I belong. I belong. And I'm going to prove it to every dude out here. I belong. And you know, in that environment, those females were extremely well respected. Extremely well respected. Plank. Again, body weight. You're holding your body weight up in a static position. The standard's the same. Why wouldn't it be the same for the hand release push up? It's body weight. Plank's pretty simple. Now, here's the other one. The 2-mile run. Over a 2-minute difference. By the standard, we're again insulting females. We're saying we don't expect you to be able to do this. We expect you to go perform the same duties as the male. We expect you to be able to carry a 240 Bravo. We expect you to carry a saw. 240 Bravo is a machine gun, weighs 27.6 pounds. That's not to mention the ammo, which 100 rounds of 7.62 Link ammunition weighs 7 pounds. So, sorry, lost my train of thought. I'm doing the podcast in my house. People are coming in and out the front door. My bad. Anyway, we're saying we don't expect the same out of you. We expect you to carry all the weight, but we don't expect you to perform the same. We're insulting the female. Now, we can go back to there is an obvious difference in the physical capabilities of males and females. There is. The way God made us. However, I will say this. With educated training, with incentivization, again, I don't know if that's a real word, but I'm going to roll with it. There are plenty of females out there that can meet this standard. The flip side of that, there are plenty of males out there not meeting the standard. I've always been taught, don't present a problem without a 70% solution. I think I've presented some really good solutions to this. Offer a cash bonus, offer a gift card at the PX for anything, gas, food, for scoring a 600. Make education a priority. Teach them how to do these things. Then don't take the tools away from them. When I say take the tools away from them, you've all got Beaver Fit boxes, which are full of, it's basically a gym and a Connex, and you're not allowed to use them because the commander's afraid of losing the stuff and then having to pay for it. There's some simple solutions to that. Sign them down to the platoons, the platoon sergeant and the PL. Have the key kept in a locked box in the platoon office. And the platoon sergeant and the PL are the only ones with the keys to that lockbox. Then go train. Conduct an inspection of the equipment every morning. It should be easy. Stand there with a hand receipt and watch everybody put the equipment back in there. Well, that takes time. Then light a fire under them. Well, that'll take away from their chow time. Well, I can't fix chow time. Where there's a will, there's a way. I know that there's a DFAC issue on every military post. There's like one DFAC for, I don't know, 1,000 people. I get that. DFAC is dining facility, chow hall. I get that. However, there's ways around it. You tell dudes that are soldiers that they're competing for a cash bonus, they're going to be okay with missing breakfast. They're going to be okay with, well, I've got to go back to my room and make myself some breakfast, or I've got to bring my breakfast with me. I mean, I did, or I just didn't eat. That's the other part of it. But they're not getting the education. They're not getting the time. They're not given the tools. So if we want to see a change, we've got to do all those things. And then we've got to change the mindset. So last thing, how do we tie this into civilians? Well, the Army needs people, and they need good people, and they need people who are already physically fit. There's plenty of high schoolers that are, I'm going to go join the military. Don't go into it blindly. Get in shape now. Practice the test now. I know recruiting offices that offer practice tests. I also know they're probably lazy because that's just the inherent human nature to be lazy. But if it's something that you want to do, go out and find the information on your own. Go hire a coach, because the $1,200 you spend on a coach is going to be a very worthwhile investment when you're in basic training and you're blowing the test out of the water. You can ruck and everybody's off your case. Best case scenario, you come out of basic training having a promotion. We promoted a lot of kids from E1 to E2 or E2 to E3 based off of their performance in basic training. So you get a pay raise. Start thinking for the future. Not to mention, from a psychology point of it, the person that begins to identify as I'll call it an exerciser. They don't just exercise, they begin to identify as an exerciser. Like, I don't just lift, I'm a lifter. I don't just run, I'm a runner. I'm still an athlete. That's how I identify. The person who does that is much more likely to continue on a path of physical fitness for the rest of their lives, which does increase their lifespan and their quality of life. And I can tell you from experience that a lifetime in the military, you come out, especially in combat arms, you come out with a lot of injuries. But if you're physically fit, you can mask those injuries. You learn how to work around them. You learn how that strength actually keeps those injuries from holding you back or putting you down. So there's how it applies to civilians. And to be honest, I think every civilian should strive to be able to pass this test, because in all honesty, it's not that hard. It really isn't. But you think about it, if we have a society that can pass the Army combat fitness test, we've got a pretty fit society. And we don't right now. We have a ridiculously unfit society. Sure, you can jump on social media and it seems to be full of fitness influencers. But the problem is that actually is a very small fraction of our society. So train, be in shape. That's the bottom line of it. Well, you just said incentivize it for soldiers. Why should I go do it? Well, at the end of the day, what kind of life do you want to have? Do you want to look in the mirror and see Homer Simpson? That doesn't do a whole lot for your confidence. Do you want to struggle to get up off the couch when you're 35? Or do you want to say, hey, I may not be a world-class athlete, but I still feel very physically capable. And the things it does for your mental state, you're more confident. I'm more confident to attempt college because I can draw on the experiences both in the gym, out on the road running, or rucking, or, I have a different perspective on things in that I've been in some really bad firefights where I didn't think I was going to live. And I look at college and go, this ain't stressful. This is not stressful at all. This is easy. And I impart that to those kids like, hey, look, this is not stress. This is not a bad day. And if you had studied better, you would have gotten a better grade. Well, I studied for like 6 hours. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, is this the end of your world? No. Okay. You're good then. No one's trying to kill you today. I can look at my wife and go, this ain't a bad day, babe. Why? Well, is it 120 degrees and do you have a ruck on your back and do we have to go 12 miles in 3 hours? No, we don't. Okay, so it ain't that bad, right? Yeah, you're right. When you train for the absolute worst case scenario, when the not worst case scenario happens, you have a better mental state to deal with it. So I probably went over my 30 minutes. I don't know. I'm not timing it. But anyway, remember, be strong. Do not let your hands be weak, for the Lord shall reward the work of your hands. That's 2 Chronicles 15:7. I try to live that every day. I try to live by the word every day, but especially that verse. Number 2, if you like this, please like, share, subscribe, continue to follow. There'll be more. If you're looking, or if you've been convinced, hey, maybe I need to get off my butt and get in shape, visit www.parabellumsaf.com, sign up for your consultation, and or call, text 682-326-7242, and let's talk. I'm not a sleazy salesman. I'm not going to beat you over the head. I want the people who want to be better. I want the people who've got the guts to go, I'm willing to pay the price, both monetarily and in sweat equity, to get better. I don't want the people I've got to twist their arm, manipulate, scream at. I did that for 20 years. So if you're the person that wants to get better, that's got the guts to say, yeah, I'm willing to get better and I'm willing to pay the price. And yes, that does mean money, but it more means pay the price in time, effort, and sweat, and conquer my fears, then you're the right client for me. And I'm the right coach for you. So you guys have a great day. Remember, Jesus is Lord. Hope to see you soon.